Okay, good morning everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome to today's Microsoft Flight Simulator live stream. We've got two flights today. First flight, we are in the A320neo with the Aer Lingus. And I'm sure I am not pronouncing that correctly. I apologize, but we were doing a flight from Shannon, Ireland up to Derry, Ireland. I was going to do Cork to Donegal, but it didn't seem like that was going to be very reasonable to do. So we're going to do this, and then we're going to hop over to the Junkers 52 and do a flight from Hannover to Berlin. So let's get in here and get things started up. We'll be in the air shortly. Hopefully everybody's having a good Thursday. Okay, let's make sure. Put that on. Keep that off. And there we go. Looks like it's going to be a quiet day in the chat so far. There's our lovely Shamrock livery aircraft. All right, so finish setting up the think we are all set there. We need to do one other thing before we go. Okay, there's that. I just want to check the flight plan real quick before we get out of here. Make sure we don't have any kind of a issue with our looks like everything is solid. Perfect. Okay, and we're all set. And on the speed brakes. Yeah, it's going to be a quick little flight. We're only getting up to about 15,000 feet, and then we'll be descending. We're only going to be at 15,000 for a short bit. Not going to be very there for very long. I've been to Shannon, Ireland a couple times, just through the airport flying. I think round about this area right here where we just taxied from the gate. Hello, Joseph. Nice to see you here. Yeah, we'll make that pop over to the Junkers 52, and then we'll get that flight done. That one's going to be about an hour or so. I expect that we're going to have kind of a tailwind, so we may get there a little bit quicker. Going from Hannover to Berlin. Oops, kind of cut in the corner here. A nice flight yesterday in Australia. So tomorrow we'll be back in the A320 going from Mexico City to San Antonio, and then we will go from LAX to Las Vegas, Los Angeles to Las Vegas tomorrow. 2 viewer requested flights. So for those of you who are missing the jetliner action, you will get a double dose tomorrow, including, well, actually you get a triple dose because you get this flight today, get 2 flights tomorrow. So for those of you who are bored of the slow Junkers 52, well, here you go. But you know, funny enough that the planes like that, the Junkers 52, were considered fast for their day. But now that we go way faster. It's deemed too slow. All right, there's our runway over there. Look at this fuel truck out there on the runway. I don't know what he's doing out there. Looks like this used to be a runway right here. Alright, I think we are set otherwise. Hello from Taiwan. Well, hello. Welcome to the stream. Nice to have you here. Lined up here, and we will be in the air in a moment. Alright, let's get rid of that. Okay, I think we are all set for departure. Let's get out of here. Away we go. Yeah. We're on our way to 8,000 feet. We're hauling butt. Alright, let's turn off our taxi light. We should get a call here in a moment to go. We're nearing 8,000 feet already. There we go. Oops. All right, we are on our way. Easy breezy. Yeah, should be a quick run up to 15,000 feet. That will be as high as we go today in this aircraft. Quick little run, shouldn't take but I think roughly maybe 20 minutes. Let me make an update in my hours. All right. Yeah, quick little flight here. Let's see where we are at. So let's scroll down here. Okay, it looks like we have to be at eventually we need to be at 3,500 feet, it looks like. It's actually from at Agony we can a genie, not Agony, a genie. A genie. We need to be at like 88,000 feet. So let's see how far out we are from. Oh, right there. Okay. All right, we are beginning our descent into Derry. All right, Oriole, enough of the spamming, please. Stop. All right, you know what? You're not gonna. Too easy. All right, so we get to 8,000 feet, and I think we're just going to stay to 8,000 for some time, and then we'll start descending further. This part here, this stretch going to IE14 Alpha, that's 100 nautical mile. That's our biggest stretch of this flight, but we're going to stay right here at 8,000 feet for the remainder of the flight. Anyways, I guess this is going to be about maybe a half-hour flight. It didn't really say when I put the flight plan together this morning. It didn't give me like an estimated time, flight time. So We're at 24 minutes now, I do believe. So we will see how we fare once we get there. Now it looks like once we get a little bit closer to there, we can drop a little bit more altitude, but we're going to stay right here for right now because we still got quite a bit to go. So yeah, Saturday Spitfire, Saturday Travis Air Force Base to Beale Air Force Base. Sunday we are doing a flying tour of Amsterdam. Monday we will be in the Fokker F7B going from Amsterdam to Brussels. Tuesday, Jetliner Tuesday. New York JFK to Nashville. And Thursday, no flight on Wednesday. Thursday we will be in the Beechcraft D-17 going from Raleigh-Durham to Wilmington. Friday, flight from Salt Lake City to Seattle in the 737 MAX. Spitfire Saturday on the 26th, Beale Air Force Base to Fallon Naval Air Station. Scenic Sunday will be Berlin. And we'll be back in the Junkers 52 going from Berlin to Vienna, Austria. And we'll be in the month of April. The 1st and the 2nd, no flights. Yeah. I wish I was on the PC. There's this it's getting I mean I love the sim, but it's getting very difficult to remain positive when the PC crowd is getting so much stuff and we are stuck with little stuff here and there, and generally we get a few aircraft once in a while that are actually worth something, and then we get the but it's generally airports, scenery stuff. Deliveries I don't mind. I think those are awesome, but we're definitely getting the shorter end of the stick, I think. Apparently, as it stands right now, Fly-by-Wire will not put the A320 on the Xbox. They have no interest, but that could change. Maybe if they sort out the encryption stuff, they may change their mind. But right now, they have no desire to put it on the Xbox. Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's stuff like, you know, I can get around in most everything. Not always, but, you know, for the most part, I can fly most everything I have. It's difficult because, in all honesty, what I need to do, and I don't do it, and I need to put aside the time, but it's very time consuming. Once an update comes out, like especially the sim update, what worked before suddenly doesn't work. And so I may think, oh, I have this aircraft in my hangar and I haven't flown it in a while, or, I like to showcase it. And I do everything, and maybe today it works and tomorrow it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, Four Simmers has released their packs, so you can put, you got like the Aer Lingus, so that's the airline for Ireland. I could, but I don't. The part of the problem is that what many people have complained about is they get everything set up on the keyboard and the mouse, and then for whatever reason, after an update, the mouse doesn't work anymore. The cursor disappears. They can't find the cursor, and it's just one thing after another. So right now, I'm able to get around with just the controller, but it's very difficult sometimes where I'd like to be able to just use my mouse and click things or zoom in with the mouse. If I zoom in with this, if I zoom all the way in and start moving my cursor around, it may seem like the plane, like I'm trying to fly the plane, and it'll disengage the autopilot, and next thing I know, I'm falling out of the air basically. What was I going to say? So yeah, the general aviation stuff is great. I don't mind some of the airliners, but it's very difficult for me to sit down and do a flight start to finish in the 747. At first it was exciting, but it's very long to do. It's becoming very difficult to remain hopeful. I'd rather, if I don't really care about getting more jetliner stuff, to be honest. At first I was like, I think it'd be great, be able to, especially the regional jet stuff. Now I'm not so, I don't care if I get the regional jet stuff, because there's more enjoyment with the general aviation, I find. I mean, this is fine. I'm not saying I don't enjoy the A320, but it's kind of, it's very, the plane's flying itself, autopilot's doing everything. All I got to do is maintain, do the altitude and the speed, basically, put the flaps down at the right time in the landing gear. But other than that, the plane's pretty much flying itself. Really, it could fly itself all the way to landing, I believe. I know the A320 or the Phoenix, the fly-by-wire one, you can. But, so yeah, there's a lot of issues that need to be sorted. Matter of fact, I just saw somebody post today on YouTube early this morning that the F-35, the developers have sent it to Microsoft for testing, and there's no indication if there's anything that needs to be fixed or whatever. And so they don't know when it's going to be released. They have not heard anything one way or the other from Microsoft. So for folks that want more military aircraft in the sim, it's like we're stuck in a holding pattern. No pun intended. So, and it's not worth pushing for an answer from Asobo or Microsoft during one of the Q&A sessions, because they'll be like, well, we don't know what's going on with it. Oh, the Phoenix. Well, okay. So yeah, it's just. But I try to find the stuff that works and try to enjoy it and as best as I can. But I do find, at first I was like, oh, the jetliner stuff is really exciting. But after a while, it's like, okay, it's not really all that exciting. It's not difficult to do. Get in the air, you push the push the autopilot button, and the plane takes over. So, which is fine. I don't mind it, but it's doing it daily would get a little old after a while. Good morning, Mick. But yeah, it's becoming very difficult. I wish, in retrospect, if I'd known that I was really going to enjoy this sim this much, I wish I had gotten it when it first came out and gotten it on the PC, because we'd have way more stuff to fly. Like, we would have so much stuff to fly. And, you know, then when stuff gets released, you know, and I can go right to the developer and get it. I don't have to wait for it to come to the marketplace. No, I don't live in the UK. I live in the East Coast of the United States. So I just, it's very difficult to, well, it's not difficult. It's just, I'd try to fly stuff that I know works, will get us from point A to point B with minimal problems. You know, coming into April, I want to do some more thematic stuff. Like, you know, we'll have Jetliner Tuesday. We're going to have a military day, military aviation. So we will fly a military jet from point A to point B. We're going to try to do it from either where they're based out of, or, you know, we can pretend like, okay, they're here for an exercise and they're going home, kind of thing. No, I don't have a PC at all. I have an iMac, but I can do the cloud. But again, it doesn't change anything. It's not like I can bypass the marketplace and buy directly from the developer. So, okay, now they're going to tell me, okay, you know what, we're just going to do it. I don't care. I'm not even going to. They're going to tell me as soon as I start climbing, they're going to be like, descend and maintain. Yeah, so it's just, I mean, the cloud is good if you can't bring your Xbox with you and you want to be able to fly, and you have a laptop, you can sign into the cloud, and as long as you have a controller, you can fly, you know. So it's not that difficult. But yeah, for actual everyday stuff, I wouldn't do the cloud. It's just it lags too much sometimes, and if you exit out, or if you open up another window, it stops the window that you were flying in. It pauses it, or it may crash altogether, like it'll do like a CTD, basically. So you've just wasted all that time. Yeah. So I tried it. It looks cool on my 30 or 27-inch iMac screen, but, you know, yeah. But I wouldn't use it daily. Okay, come on. Why aren't we nosing over here? I figured by now they would have told us to go back down, but apparently not. This is one of those weird parts in the flight that for whatever reason, it thinks that we're farther back when we're not. Should be descending, and you know, but yeah, if I'd known, I would have gotten a PC a couple years ago when I had the chance to. Why we are not descending, because we're going to have to bleed off a lot of altitude between there and just makes absolutely no sense. This is one of those things about this sim that just, it makes no sense at all. There we go, finally. Alright, let's go ahead and start slowing down here. Oops. Speed. Who would have thought that would happen? Well, yeah. See, now you're going to yell at me to expedite when we should have been going a lot sooner. We shouldn't have ever gotten to this point. It's just gonna be what it is. Hello, welcome. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name because I don't understand acrylic, I believe. That's what it is. So yeah, we're getting something today. Who knows? The weekly roadmap, developers weekly update comes out today. No telling what, if anything, we're going to get. I'm not going to get my hopes up that it'll be something significant or decent or whatever, because I just don't. There's no sense in being disappointed. If we get something cool, fine, but I'm not expecting it anymore. Hello alls. Yeah, we're not, Jorg at the beginning of the year was, said some very positive things about the future of the Xbox, that they do want it to succeed on the console. But I think they did not realize the amount of problems they were going to encounter on the console. So, yeah. So I think we're kind of stuck with what we got in the meantime. And I don't even watch the Q&A stuff anymore, because I just don't want to be disappointed that they're going to be well, I would agree, Mick, but I don't think Microsoft would ever do it, only because Sony's a competitor. Why would they sell their stuff to a competitor? The architecture is significantly different. That would open up a whole nother box of problems, I think, for development. If they have enough these problems as it is on the Xbox, there's no telling what other issues they would run into on the PS side. And then you would have 3 communities pissed off that nothing's working. you know, if that's what happens. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. Who knows? But I don't think Microsoft would sell their product on the PlayStation. At least not right now. I can't see that they would do that. Especially because here's the thing: if they were, you know, let's play hypothetical. Let's say they do it, and then it actually works better on the PS5. The Xbox players are going to be seriously pissed off that the PlayStation side seems to work with no issues, kind of like Train Sim does, right? Generally. So why does it not work on the Xbox? And again, it's I think it's that whole architecture, encoding, whatever stuff that they should have thought about ahead of time but didn't. So you talk about a community who would be seriously pissed off. The flight sim community, especially on the Xbox, if they did put it on there and it works better, yeah, that would be well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a way for people to enjoy it who can't afford a high-end PC. That's why. That's all it is. I mean, you got racing sims, you know, on the console, and some people prefer it on the PC. You know, like Assetto Corsa. Doesn't mean that, you know, Forza Motorsport shouldn't exist, or Gran Turismo Motorsport shouldn't exist, or Gran Turismo, not Gran Turismo Motorsports, but, you know, it does give people an option, but what we're finding is it's a limited option, and that's just the reality of it. We were told it was going to be the same experience as the PlayStation or the PC side, and that has not exactly happened. So there's not, you know, we can either hope for the best and expect the worst, or we can give up and say, I'm not going to be bothered with it anymore. You know, I enjoy this. I do enjoy the flying. But I get it. A lot of people don't quite understand it for whatever reasons, and that's okay. I'm still going to do what I like to do. And I do enjoy this. I've tried to fly 7 days a week, and sometimes I'm even flying off stream and enjoying just doing different things, you know. Like last night we did a 2.5 hour. Now you're telling me 3,500 instead of 2,500. Well, we're closer to that at least. So we'll level off here in a moment. Well, I mean, it was difficult to master at first, but I've improved, I think. It's not easy, you're right. And if I had the ability, the problem is with the peripherals on the Xbox side, people are having problems with that even. They map everything out, and then when there's an update, everything they mapped out is gone. They have to start from scratch. And so they have to try to remember, okay, what was set here? You know, so you're going to have to keep meticulous notes and everything, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But the, you know, I thought about getting the peripherals, but that's all very expensive stuff. And I don't really have the space for it either to, you know, put it somewhere properly. But I'm okay with the controller. I've found my way to work with it, you know. So it just takes practice, that's all. I'm not perfect at it, but I think Mick will tell you I've dramatically improved from the very first time I flew, you know. So yeah, I just try to enjoy it because I've always loved aviation, but it was one of those things that I grew up loving aircraft and stuff, and I didn't, you know, and then I kind of got away from it because I started getting involved, loving cars and learning about cars and stuff, and then yeah, I agree that's part of it too, but yeah, I think they need to be, they weren't, and maybe they just didn't know, or maybe they knew and just went with it anyway, but the way it was marketed is not the way that it's happening. It is what it is. And so either we have to be patient and hope that they can change things for the better. The problem is that if they change it, does that introduce more problems? Does it break anything else? We don't know. That's the hard part. And so I think they're trying to sort all that out. And it may be that they're trying it and they might say, we can't do it because if we do this, then this is what happens. There's, a consequence for what we're trying to do. So, yeah, it's a bit difficult, but again, do we just kind of go with it and say, well, try to be positive and hope for the best? Yeah, but sometimes after a while, it's like running out of hope. So, but we'll see what happens today. I'm not, like I said, I'm not expecting a whole lot. If we get some cool stuff, cool. But I think we're gonna get more airports, more scenery stuff, maybe some more liveries, and that's about it. Maybe 1 or 2 planes. English juice to buy. Yeah. Yes, it was. Absolutely, Mick. Well, we still have our little hiccups here and there, but generally I think we've improved quite a bit, and it's only been 6 months, but part of it is spending the time off stream and just keep practicing at things, and trying to keep improving, and flying with Captain Arish and on Mondays and Wednesdays has helped out quite a bit, because I'm learning other things, not just about flying, but yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say that, JJ, or is it, oh, sorry, Gemini 2? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm not sure. There's a lot of former simmers who played back in the day who are coming back, and they're like, wow, this looks, it's amazing how much better it looks. It looks very realistic. But now they realize that they're going to have to update their systems and all that, and that costs money and time, and making sure that it all runs, and what if you're going to get peripherals, what are you going to get, what works, what doesn't, but I've heard a lot of people are coming back that are like, wow, this is way better than how it was in the past. I'm not sure what that is. All right. Mr. Addies is back. So yeah, it's just well, we'll see. I'm going to try to stick with it, and yeah, I've heard a lot of people did like X-Plane 11 and speak highly of that because it started off kind of rough, and it was improved over a period of time, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's but yeah, a lot of people who played that have come back to Microsoft Flight Simulator, have spent the time, they did the research and updated their system in preparation for it, and have been enjoying it since, and buy aircraft and virtually simulate pass. Oh, okay. That's pretty in depth. Now, a lot of people say, well, if Microsoft doesn't improve, X-Plane 12 is coming out. And people saying, well, if Microsoft has to show a significant shift of some kind in order for people to stick with it. Otherwise, they're going to drop it and go to X-Plane 12. You know, but there's no telling that the X-Plane 12 experience is going to be as good or better than Microsoft Flight Simulator. And that's the cool thing about simming is you can get, if you have the ability, you can get really in depth with it, you know. But there's some people who just want to go in and start up a Cessna 172 and fly from point A to point B and land it, and you know, they don't want to be bothered with the jetliner stuff, and that's okay. You know, there's something for everybody. That's the cool thing. Yeah, I mean, that's very possible too, but a lot of people are, you know, they're throwing that out there to try to get Microsoft to get to work and start really working harder to improve things. Not that they aren't working hard, but, you know, there's just a lot of things that people are like, there's too many bugs that have been reported that have not been dealt with at all, you know, so yeah, some people may spend the money on X-Plane 12 and then find out that it's not any better, or it may be worse than Microsoft Flight Simulator. Oops. All right, let's go to 160 here.
$2,500.
So there, the person I follow on Twitch, Captain Arish, he's done it, and he started in 2020 when the sim came out, and he's now in Australia. He's been going. That's 100. Now he only flies Mondays and Wednesdays. But what we're doing in Australia, and that's where I joined him at, is they try to find points of interest and they fly over that, and then they land at small airports, or they find an abandoned airfield somewhere and they land there, and then they take off from there and go to the next location. You know, if they start on Monday and they land somewhere, and then Wednesday you start from there and you pick up and go to the next destination. It's a lot of time. You know, he said it's a big thing, you know, but there's times where he just doesn't fly because of other commitments with family or work or whatever. So, yeah, but it's fun. You know, we just go in there in a 172, and that's what he's been flying in the whole time. He doesn't use GPS. He plots it out, and he does his headings, and you know. But I flew with him last night, doing a 2.5 hour flight, and it was fun, you know. Because there's somebody in the chat who's from Australia and is pointing out all kinds of fun stuff. All right, let me get slowed down to 140 here and get the. Pardon me, I'm start talking and then I forget to do what I'm supposed to be doing here. All right, let me turn that. All right, why aren't we? Should have locked in by now. Well, maybe we need to be a little bit closer. So I'm just waiting for it to nose over and start descending, because otherwise we're going to be in trouble here. See, look at where, based on where we are, I'm not very hopeful here. All right, hopefully it locks in, because it says all right, let's see if this works. Come on. I think we're gonna have to cancel everything and just do it ourselves. All right, let's go. Yeah, we're gonna end up missing it, so I'm not gonna take any chances. We're just gonna land it ourselves. We're gonna have to drop altitude here real quick. And see, this is part of the problem. You just never know when something's gonna work and when it won't. But we're gonna get it done. That's okay. We were right where we needed to be honest.
1,000.
And then it just never took. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. All right, let's put this on the ground here.
500. 400. 300. 200. 100. 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, retard.
Ooh, not the best landing, but we made it. Well, welcome to Shannon, or welcome to Derry, everybody. Put Siri. Well, that's why I put it in the description. Because I only have so much space, Willie. I can't. Oops. You know, I'm trying to put a bunch of different stuff in there, and it's just I would not be able to. You hit the middle of the runway. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but a little rough. But yeah, we're here. So we're gonna park it, and then we'll go into the Junkers 52 and do that flight, and then we'll be done for the day. Yeah, because I try to put like what plane we're flying in our departure and destination, at least, you know, like the city and stuff. But yeah, well, the problem is, Willie, and I appreciate your suggestions. The problem is then I have people who come in and say, what's MSFS? What does that mean? So it's like, you know, there's, hello, Amilla. Thank you, Joseph. it's like there's a no-win situation, quite honestly. No matter what I put, then people are going to be like, well, but what does this mean now? What, so it's like, yeah, I do appreciate the suggestions, though, and that's why I put it right below in the description, what I'm flying on and what I'm using. Because that and I try to encourage people to scroll down. That's why I read all the information about today's flight. But yeah, it's just one of those things that no matter what I put, like I tried that at first. I put MSFS, and people were like, "What does that mean?" So yeah, it's just you can't win for losing sometimes, unfortunately. So yeah, I've tried to find different ways to communicate things, and what I've realized, it's a no-win situation, really. So I just try to communicate the best way that I know how, and that's all I can do. Yeah, but I know, it's just, but the thing is that, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. No matter what information I put, it's just like, I try to put the best possible information, but then I still get people like, where are we going? It's like, well, it's right there. But that's the thing, Willie, is people don't always read. They want to ask the question because it gives them that interaction with the streamer. That's it. That's all they're looking for. They already can see the answer, they just don't care. They just want that, oh, he answered my question, or she answered my question on the stream. Woo, I'm famous now. Really? You're famous now? So, yeah, I do appreciate the ideas. I've tried to find different ways, and it's just like, no matter what I put, it's just, people are going to ask the questions, and it's always at the time when it's like the worst possible time to ask, whether I'm landing or I'm trying to get the aircraft set up. So I just put it, and that's why I say, like, when I'm starting up the plane, read the description. A lot of questions that you might have are going to be answered right there. Reasonable questions, not like, well, how much does this plane cost? You can find that out yourself. I'm not going to do that for you. Yeah, I get those too. So I just try to do the best I can, and it is what it is. So, but yeah, we've had a couple of folks like that. People come in with a silly name. Oh, just say my name. No, I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. Well, I don't know much about Derry. The only thing I know about Derry, Derry, I'm not sure how it's really pronounced, but there's a series called Derry Girls, about 4 teenage girls, I think, that were like in the high school, and no, it's not that I feel grumpy, it's just that, I try to be reasonable with the questions. And a lot of people at first were like, well, what are you flying on? What's this? What's that? And then it's just like, okay. Then I finally came to a conclusion. Well, if I put it all in the description, if people can read it while I'm getting things set up, that would solve a lot of problems. And then if they have a question afterwards, or like, oh, I don't understand this, okay, then I can try to explain it. Like, I was doing a flight to Savannah one day in the A320. And people were like, the plane's not going fast enough. I said, yeah, it is. It's right. It's working within the tolerance. So you need to, speed the plane up. Speed the plane up. I said, no, the plane is operating within normal operating speeds. Well, I think it's going too slow. So I looked, and the next day I said, look, this is why it appears slow. The higher up in altitude, the slower it appears. But we're going Mach 0.75. That's 3/4 the speed of sound. So that's fast. In the bigger scheme of things, that is you're going fast. It just doesn't appear that you're going fast. Just like when you fly in real life. You're going fast, but it's like, why does it take so many hours to get there? Why aren't we there quicker? science. That's the reality. So, there's no, I can't, people come up with all those questions. Yeah. So yeah, it's, let me update my flight hours here real quick on my tracker, because sometimes this stuff is not updating correctly. Oops. 4-8. All right, there we go. So then we are. All right, so let's go out here and change aircraft and everything, and we will be getting all that set up. Yeah, yeah, that's what I've noticed too. It's kids who come in, they're going at a million miles an hour, and they become very chaotic, and then they don't realize that they're causing more problems than anything, or they don't care that they're being chaotic, So, yeah, I've had to block some of them, because it's just, I can't have it in my chat. I've given them an opportunity to try to, sit back, relax, enjoy the flight, and they don't want to do that. So, hotel, Delta Charlie, Delta Lima Hotel. Turn that off. All right, give me just a second. I'm going to go use the restroom real quick, and then I'll be right back. Thank you, Milla. So yeah, what I was saying was, and I thought I turned it off or unmuted myself, but thank you, Milla, for pointing that out. I agree with you. It's I try not. I don't want anybody making fun of a viewer because some people do have legitimate questions, and I try to answer them as best as I can. If it's like some people are just like, why what's going on here? Why is this happening or whatever? I try to answer it, but the other times it's like. So. Let's have a look. Of course, we don't have a... Won't be until I get moving before the thing comes out. I think we're going to take off from down there. So, yeah. All right, let me put in my first one, 11730. On the heading of 094. All right, I think we are ready. Oh, oops. There we go. Come on. Don't tell me the thing turned off. I think it did. Hold on a second. Yep, that's why. Oh, come on. Or I'm going to have to put some kind of direction thing, because apparently this is not... Oh, no, that's not going to work. Oops, I gotta get... Ooh, oop, 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 oop. It should tell us right here. All right, take care, Milla. Thanks for stopping by. I really wish the taxi ribbon would show up, but now it's not. I should have double checked that. Doggone it. I'm hoping we're going the right direction. I think we are. Let me just put that on, because I thought I had it on. Yeah, it's on. It's just being funny today. It wants to be a pain in the butt. I think this is it because it says we're departing to the east, so I'm pretty sure we're going the right way. Yep. Oh, wait, did it say right or left? I think it's supposed to be the other one. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's the other one. Okay, terrific. This is what happens when you don't know the airport and you don't. The ribbon doesn't show up to tell you which way to go. So we got to go to the other side. Apparently. Sorry about that. Well, at least we're getting a tour of Hannover Airport. I'm just going to kind of cut through here, and it should be right over there on the other side of the tower. Should be our runway. Yeah, I know, but I want to try to take off from the right runway to make sure that I navigate correctly. I mean, I know it's heading generally the same direction, but I always have a bad feeling when I accidentally take off from the wrong runway that something else is going to happen badly. So it's okay. We're getting there. I should have looked and then kind of figured it out on my own instead of guessing it, but that's all right. Sometimes once you spawn in, you lose your bearings of which way you're flying from and everything. So, or where you're supposed to be taxiing to. That's why I try to rely on the taxi ribbons, because at least then I go the right direction the first time. But it's okay. We're getting there. That's just down there, so it's all good. It didn't seem big though. That's the thing. Like that runway was pretty short. Like I really had to get on the brakes because otherwise we were gonna run out of room. So yeah, and it didn't help that the ILS approach didn't activate correctly to bring us in at the right angle and everything. Because if that had been the case, I think we would have been in much better position. But it is what it is. We got slowed down enough and was able to turn off. So yeah, it's just but yeah, sometimes I've flown into airports and airlines and it's like, you know, maybe this wasn't a good idea. This was not meant for this. So that's okay. Yeah, well, I think a lot of times stuff is in and it maybe is changed and they just have not gone and like moved stuff or whatever. And I think those are just those little things that eventually they'll clean up. Because sometimes the airport has changed over the years and they just never, in the sim, they took the picture how it used to be and they haven't, you know, and a lot of times, unfortunately, then that means you have to purchase the updated airport from somebody who goes in and fixes all that. So ugh. But I just picked it because, you know, it's St. Patrick's Day, and I thought, well, we'll just fly from here to here, and it should be fun. And it was. It's just, you know, it sucks when things don't work as like you expect them to, and we've had that problem before in the past. It's fine, you know. Yeah, yeah, that's probably true too. That's a valid point. And the thing is, in the sim, there's a lot that happens that just doesn't make sense sometimes, and it's like, why am I doing this? You know, like when it said go to 15,000 feet, and then we're cruising there, and then and I go to 9,000 and get to 2,500, and you know, it's just when those things happen, it's kind of like, okay, why am I doing all this? Is there a reason? And you know, you can try to figure out what the reason is, but you're never sure if you're right or wrong. I don't have a personal connection to aviation other than when I was a kid. I grew up loving aviation, a lot of military aircraft. Well, excuse me, I built a lot of model aircraft when I was a kid, and really enjoyed it. And but you know, sometimes life happens, and it's one of those things that you just kind of walk away from for whatever reasons. And then when Flight Sim came out, and I was like, man, this is amazing. I can fly all these. I know, I get that. And I've been chided before on using ATC. Somebody else came in and was laughing like, oh, you're still using ATC. Oh, loser. Because there's things that go on that I'm not 100% sure of yet, that, you know, like when I'm flying, I think eventually I'll turn it off and be okay with it. But I use it because then I keep, it kind of keeps me doing things correctly as much as possible, but there are things that happen that just don't make sense. All right, let's get our altimeter reading. All right, so we're not far off our actual way we're going to our first waypoint, so. All right, let's go. But there's an airport in Vacaville, California that still exists. There was a restaurant there called the Nut Tree that had a bookstore by it that was all aviation stuff. And it was fantastic. So as a kid, we would stop by there sometimes, and I would just be able to look at all the books and stuff about aviation and just enjoy it, and you know. Well, let me get things set up here, and then we'll kind of catch up in the chat here. All right, let's see. Flaps up. And away we go. Turn off our lights. Shove it. Oh, nice. Yeah, it was one of those things that I did as a hobby, and I enjoyed it. And then, after a while, I like to get back into building models. I'd like to build model cars, because I didn't really build model cars. I always built model planes, and it was all traditionally military aircraft. You know what I need to do? I need to open up the VFR map before I forget. Alright, so we're kind of getting back towards the line there. That's okay. And, yeah, it's one of those things I enjoyed, and Snookers, not junkers. Alright, we are on our way. Second flight of the day. Once we get on the ground and park it, we will be wrapping up for the day. We'll be back tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, 10:30 UK time. And we'll be back in the A320s, or the A320. We'll be going to first flight, Mexico City to San Antonio. That flight was requested by my lovely lady Doris, so we will do that flight first. And then Elton requested Los Angeles to Las Vegas. That's going to be a very quick flight, so we will do those two tomorrow. And we Spitfire Saturday, Travis to Beale Sunday, flying tour of Amsterdam. So do join us for those. Be some good flights the rest of the week, going into the weekend. Sunday also, we will be on the Brighton main line first before we go flying in Amsterdam. Be on Train Sim World 2 on Sunday. Get that done. We'll probably do a quick service or something, nothing too long, just get something done there. And then we will go flying. I don't know what I'm going to use for our flying tour yet, but we'll figure something out tomorrow on Sunday. I'll come up with something between now and Sunday, what aircraft we're going to fly. And gotta really turn. Get this thing, try to get it, stay on track. So, yeah. That's what we got coming up for the weekend. Oops. That's what button I forgot to hit. Alright, we are making our way. Alright, let's kind of throttle back here because we're climbing pretty good. Try to trim the aircraft out. I really like this plane. When I was talking about this in Captain Arish's stream, it seems very complicated, and it's not. It just feels complicated. It looks complicated because of all these buttons and dials and stuff. It's not that complicated at all. It's a lot of fun to fly. Yeah, there's no autopilot or anything. You really kind of have to pay attention, but as long as you just make those little adjustments along the way, you're fine. And just keep an eye on what you're doing. You know, doing this VOR to VOR navigation, like I learned that from Captain Arish, basically. You know, watching him fly, and I'm like, what? How does this work? And then I started looking into it. I'm like, oh, that's what this does. So now we have introduced a different way to navigate, where we can fly. We don't have to go up here, go down here, go back up, go back. You know, it's just like I just go from point A to point B, from A to B to C to whatever. You know, and it's really enjoyable. I think it's a great way to fly. It's a little less stressful, other than making sure you stay on track and putting your frequencies for the VOR, and then this and this point you to the right direction. So even though we're slightly off the track, we're basically going the right direction. So we can, as long as we just kind of mirror or right next or parallel that magenta line, we're fine. We're going to get to our destination. And then the cool thing is, right here, it tells us how much longer we got to go to get to our first waypoint, which is Hotel Lima Zulu. And then we're going to turn slightly to the left, and we're going to go on to the next track. The next one is going to be 98 nautical miles long once we make that turn. And then that's going to be the vast majority of our flight right there. And then once we get closer to that, we're going to start descending, and then come into Berlin, Brandenburg, find our runway, land, park it. We'll be done. So yeah, in a couple weeks we'll be back in the Junkers 52. We're going to go from Berlin to, eventually we're going to end up at Athens. Somebody who I had posted I was flying the Junkers 52 in Germany, and they were like, oh, I'm doing this flight, and it's a real world route that Lufthansa flew when this airline or this aircraft was in service in Germany. So it's just going to, you know, we're just going to go a little bit at a time, and we're going to get to Athens, Greece, eventually. And so that's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Some of the flights are going to be kind of long, a couple hours at least. Others are going to be maybe an hour or so. So yeah, we're just going to keep, I want to try, like I said, I'm going to try to mix things up going forward. I just have to kind of sit down and figure out some other flight plans with some other aircraft, like, you know, military stuff. What can I do that I can do fairly quickly and easily, you know, stuff like that. So that way we just, you know, like the F-14, you know, just kind of keep working at it like what we did with the Spitfire. That's why we still have Spitfire Saturdays usually, to continue to improve flying the Spitfire. We've gotten a lot better. Mick will attest to that, I think, as well. So it does help out. Just, you know, if you spend a day or two in a particular plane and just, you know, learning how it works and all that kind of stuff, it, you know, it's a lot more enjoyable, I think. So, oops, a little stutter there. That's been happening quite a bit recently as well for some reason. I really wish there was more liveries for this aircraft. The tail code that I have, the Delta Charlie Delta Lima Hotel, that is actually the tail code for a Lufthansa Junkers 52. In fact, let's go ahead and put on the showcase here. Really love this plane. I was a bit overwhelmed with it at first, like, you know, oh my goodness, this is going to take a this is going to be a pain to fly, and it's not. It just seems like it would be. Yeah, here we are. I'm really excited about being in the Fokker F7B here in a couple days. That'll be fun, I think. Somewhat similar tri-motor aircraft, but the wing is higher than this one, so it'll be up on the top there, and the motors kind of hang down. So that will be interesting. We'll do VOR to VOR navigation on that one as well. Another time that we are going to be in the Junkers fifth, or the Fokker, we will be in. Somebody had asked about flying in. What was it? Yeah, 14th of April we'll be in Norway, and the Fokker will be doing a KLM service, basically. We're off track here. Gotta get back in. So yeah, we're going to continue, you know, classic aviation kind of stuff. I know it's not fast, but I think it's worth doing. Just enjoying the, you know, early flying type of flying. You know, the other version of this doesn't have all this stuff. You know, it does have radio navigation. You can tune in a VOR, but it's not going to tell you which way to head. And you just kind of have to make sure that you're, you know, keep an eye on whatever instruments you have, including the compass, to tell you, hello, Chris, you know, that you're headed in the right direction. Now, of course, there's other, you know, some folks use celestial navigation, because that's what they would do. They would open this up, and they would shoot their azimuths and plot their, you know, where they were, and then they'd say, okay, we got this much more to go, and we're on track, especially for the longer flights. Nice to see you here, Chris. Hopefully you're doing well. So, Mick, how did you guys fare in the Lego adventure last night? I left at about 5:45 to get ready to go flying with Captain Arish. So I apologize I didn't say goodbye before I did that. I looked at the time. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta go." So how did that work out? Did you guys get a lot done, or did you do the whole thing last night, or you still got stuff to work through for your platinum? Joseph, dude, please don't do that, Joseph. Come on, you know better than that. Still a lot to, you know. Oh, okay, good. I didn't quite understand. So, if I understood the premise, the superheroes have left, and so then they have these replacements who are really villains come in to try to save Gotham or whatever, and you know, so that you have different versions of what should be the Justice League. So, I mean, it's an interesting idea. We still got 13, just under 14 nautical miles to go to our first waypoint. Cruising along here at almost 7,800 feet. Very small climb, which is okay. All right. Got 10 viewers in. Thank you all for coming in and hanging out. Appreciate it. And I did get a notification that somebody subscribed, so I want to... Sorry I didn't get to that earlier. Jason Green, thank you for the subscription to my YouTube channel. Appreciate it. Now, I think what we're going to do this time, because when we shut it down, it doesn't seem to want to click over to say that we completed the flight. So we're going to use the checklist once we park and shut everything down, and then it should end the flight correctly. Seven nautical miles. I think I'm going to step away for just a moment again. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. This time I made sure to do the mic check before I started talking. Okay, we should see our marker here pretty soon. Like I said before, just a slight adjustment, and then we will dial in our next marker, our next waypoint, and we will be on our way there. It's going to be the largest part of the flight, 98 nautical miles. So we will get there, and then we will be close to matter of fact, there's our marker right there, HLZ. Waypoint, I should say. So we will dial that in, and then we'll be on our way. Airport not far from our second marker, BBI. So once we get there, we'll look for we'll turn towards our airport. Dad says it ain't worth buying a Boeing. Well, okay, here's the thing, Crankman. Yes, the Braddock 737, now it has improved quite a bit from when it first came out. Braddock has been slowly updating their stuff. I would wait, quite honestly. If you haven't pulled the trigger yet on the Braddock 737, I would wait for the PMDG version. Now, we may have to wait a little bit longer on the Xbox side, but I think the PMDG version is going to be way better than the Braddock version. But it's your choice. It has improved quite a bit. It wasn't that great when it first arrived in the marketplace. Oh, it's for a plane. Okay. Well then, yeah, do what you got to do. But yeah, if you're trying to fly it, it can be a bit crazy sometimes. It doesn't always work as intended, but they have been updating their stuff. They've been updating their livery pack stuff as well. So they are trying to make sure that they do as much as possible for their product to be well made, or good stuff. But yeah, they didn't have a good name for quite some time in the flight sim community, but I think they've done a lot to improve their image. All right, 11410. All right, so we are going to turn this way just a bit. We want to go to heading of, oops, let's go here first, to 88. All right, we turn, get going on the right direction. Current, oh, yeah, well, sometimes that's just the way it is, but hopefully you find some enjoyment with it. And I think, give it a shot flying it, every once in a while. It's just a different startup from what you're used to if you fly the A320. It takes a little bit of practice getting used to it, but yeah, it's not too bad after you get to grips with it. But yeah, I would try some short flights with it. See how you like it. All right, we are essentially heading in the right direction. Get back on the magenta line there. I was excited because I was like, oh, finally something other than the A320, and then it was like, oh, it was a bit of a mess, but yeah, I don't. But they have been making strides to improve it, so that's not too bad. At least they're one of the developers that they don't just release it and then disappear, where some developers have done that, or they release something and then they continue to release, but they never go back and fix what they released previously. That kind of grinds my gears, so to speak, for lack of a better term. So yeah, I don't. If if I bought something from somebody before and they haven't gone back and fixed what they released previously, I'm not going to give them another dime until they fix their other stuff. Yeah, I agree with that, but it's a licensing issue, according to Xbox, plus the political situation. They probably felt that it was not good timing to release it, so that's their decision. I know a lot of people were looking forward to it. I think we'll get it eventually, possibly, but not right now. But yeah, a lot of people were looking forward to that, and then, you know, it got destroyed, and with the whole political situation there, which I don't really want to get into. But yeah, there's multiple reasons, but they're saying it's a licensing issue, which it very well may be, but there may be politics behind it as well. So, just like the MiG-29 was supposed to come out last week, that's been put on hold because of the political situation. A lot of people were looking forward to that. So, you know, that's just part of life, unfortunately, sometimes. I think we'll get it eventually. But the thing is, too, I don't think, unless... Well, no, that was supposed to be released on PC and Xbox. So the PC side doesn't even have it yet, either one, unless somebody else developed it and it was put out before things happened. So that's why, again, the PC side does seem to have a better... They have a bit of a leg up on the Xbox side. That if something happens and then, you know, we're left in limbo for the time being, then, you know, it is what it is. But anyway. All right, we have 89 nautical miles to go, so we've already completed 10 nautical miles. On my tablet right now, something is wrong with my PC, or it's falling apart. I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. If you're enjoying the stream, I appreciate it that you're able to come in and hang out. We don't need the dome light on back there. Oh, we don't need it here either. Kind of sunny out, even though we've got some clouds. Definitely not like the other day. Man, that was a heck of a flight yesterday. Landing in the evening, it was dark and cloudy and rain and stuff icing up and all kinds of craziness. So altimeter is staying pretty much the way it has the entire time. That's good. Don't have to worry about that. Vacuums are still holding up for now. Well, that's the difficult part sometimes about older things. It seems like it's holding up just fine, and then one day all of a sudden it goes kaput, to use the German term. But that's the what do you call it? That's the, I don't want to say that's the price you pay, but that's the thing that you have to contend with if you're going to engage in that kind of hobby, you know. Just like if you buy an older car, you've got to have replacement parts. And the older the car is, the less likely you know they're going to have to find, somebody's going to have to replicate a part, you know. So, because that's a very expensive hobby in itself. You know. I read an article years ago by Derek Bell, the racing car driver, who judges at a lot of Concours d'Elegances, and he was talking about how some of these people spend thousands and thousands of dollars. You know, first they buy these cars for sometimes a fairly reasonable price, and then they do a whole body restoration. They do, you know, off frame and all that kind of stuff. Hello, Manuka. Fine. How are you? Sorry you had a nightmare last night, Crankman. And because they spend all that money, they expect that they're going to win, like, best in class or whatever, right? They show up like at Pebble Beach or Amelia Island, and they're like they're sure that they're going to get an award, and then they don't, and so then they get mad at the restorer for that they didn't do a good enough job to win them best in show or first in class, you know. And he said it's crazy that how people get upset over it. I'm good, Wanuka. How are you? Welcome back, Joseph. So yeah, a lot of people, you know, if you're passionate about something, especially if you're going after older things, mechanical things, you have to understand that there's a possibility that things are going to break. And it may cost you significantly to repair the item, you know, and sometimes the repairs might cost more than what you paid for the item originally. And yeah, so but that's the difficult part if you're going to engage, you know, be a part of that sort of hobby or community or whatever. Then yeah, there's things that you have to accept in a way. So we're nice cruising here at about 8,300 feet on our way to Berlin. Oh, thank you, Anuka. Hope I'm saying that right. Appreciate that. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a great day, rest of the week. But I'm not saying that, you know, you're entering these vacuums into a vacuum show to, you know, or anything like that. But, you know, that's the I'm sorry you had that. It's sounds like a very yeah, well, you know, whenever I have a nightmare that freaks me out, it takes me a while. I like when I wake up from it, I'm like, what was that? What was that all about? You know, you just have to kind of come to terms with it in a way. You know, try to, you know, is there some sort of a message behind it? Sometimes people are like, oh, that's because this is what's getting ready to happen. But there's a lot of people who do that dream analysis and all that kind of stuff. You know, I don't know what to tell you. It's sorry that you had a nightmare. Unfortunately, that is just part of being a human being. We can't always have good dreams as much as we'd like to. That's not very realistic. And you just never know when you're going to have a nightmare. Alright, okay. We got nice sun. Yeah, it's supposed to be warm here today too, although it's a little overcast. But we're supposed to get rain at some point today. Just got the notification on my phone. Expect rain sometime later today. So, yeah, got that to deal with. Yeah, hopefully we are past the winter shenanigans. Hopefully we're turning the corner for spring. Be nice. And we get some mild temperatures throughout the day and throughout the evening, and maybe a little bit cool evenings, but yeah. Alright, 73 nautical miles left to go. This is our longest stretch of the flight. Let's see. It's on. Oops. On. Alright. It may be not transmitting anything, or we may not be close enough to hear it yet. We are on the correct trajectory, basically. Flying through these clouds. In fact, I think we'll keep that open just so if we start to go way too far off track. Yeah, there we are. Classic cockpit flight deck. Lots of gauges. Not anything really digital other than our DME system there that measures our distance to our next waypoint. So we can kind of keep an eye on that. Every so often we'll check that. We got our VOR tuned in here on the nav radio. We'll be wrapping up the stream once we're on the ground in Berlin. Thank you all for coming in today. Appreciate it. Thank you for the 8 likes. Appreciate that as well. Let's see, what else do we have? I guess we could have a kind of story time. Yeah, let's have a little bit of a story time, why not? So some of you may not know, but I was in the military for quite some time. And every so often things happen that kind of reminds me of my time in the military. Not that I miss it in some ways, but I don't miss all of it. One of the things I noticed, and part of this is because I've been watching the Band of Brothers. You know, I watch it every so often because it's a well-written show, well-acted. A lot of the ideas of Major Winters are presented in the show. His leadership style especially stands out quite a bit. And one of the things I was thinking about is that in the military, once you get to a certain rank, and this is more so when you become an NCO, a non-commissioned officer, sergeant, basically. Once you progress into the NCO ranks, the farther removed you are from the soldiers. And what I notice is that the more, like when you make staff sergeant or sergeant first class, the more abusive you become, in a way. Not like physically, although that used to be the case, but emotionally you abuse people. Part of it is because you can't physically punish a soldier anymore. They did away with that years ago, a long time ago. Maybe it still happens, but by and large it is frowned upon. And so what you get is the emotional abuse, right? Somebody has a bad weekend, right? Your platoon sergeant, for instance, or your first sergeant. Let's go company-wide. First sergeant had a crappy weekend. Their football team lost. Wife was nagging. Kids are nagging. All that kind of stuff, right? And so what happens? They come into work on Monday, pissed off at the world, and they take it out on the company, right? And they know that they're doing it, I think. They just don't care because who is going to stop them? Joe Private isn't going to be able to do anything because Joe Private's just a private. He may know that what's happening is wrong. He can feel it that what is happening is wrong, but he has no recourse, right? So you get that, people, and it's almost encouraged even when you become a Sergeant E5. Hey, you could start treating people like garbage. There's nothing they can do about it, right? Well, there's ways. If you get really over the line, they can certainly it could be brought up in front of somebody. There was a story that I read. Somebody had posted this story in their office about two soldiers who had gone on leave from Iraq back when they would do R&R during deployments, and they were late returning to their unit. Not due to their own fault. It's just that the flights were late, connections, there was just a whole lot of things that happened that were not anything that they did or didn't do. And so when they got there, the platoon sergeant punished them excessively, made them do push-ups, physical exercises, which was tolerated back in the day. You could, quote-unquote, smoke a soldier, and that was their punishment. Now, they told him time and again that they didn't do anything wrong. If this person had contacted, the people involved, the whole thing would have been over with, and it would have just been like, oh, okay, no big deal. It's all good. No. So now that has been removed as a punishment because people were, we're getting close to Berlin. We're talking to Berlin Center. Nice. So, because people were abusing it. But again, that type of punishment has been removed, but the mental abuse hasn't been. And it made me think also of a movie called 13 Conversations About One Thing. And if you get a chance to watch that movie, it is really, really good. A couple big names in the movie. Matthew McConaughey is one of them. Alan Arkin. Trying to think who else. Those are the two names that kind of stand out. And all these characters in this movie all interact with each other at some point during the movie. And sometimes it's a good interaction, sometimes it's a bad interaction. And there's a scene, now Alan Arkin's character, he's a insurance sales guy, mid-level manager, and they're cutting back. His company has to kind of cut some folks out because they're losing money, and so there's a guy working for him named Wade, and Wade is like this super happy-go-lucky, always sees the bright side of no matter what happens, even if you would say, "Oh, that's terrible," he'd be like, "Well, sure, maybe," but on the other hand, he always has that kind of cheery attitude, right? And it does not sit well with Alan Arkin's character. And so when he's told he has to fire somebody, he's like, it's going to be this guy. The premise is that Wade was the newest hire, so he's the first one to go. So he calls Wade in the office and he tells him, "Hey, we're cutting back, and unfortunately I got to let you go, and all that." And he's stunned because he's like a good worker and everything. And he's like, "Well," and then he's like, "Well, it's okay. I'll have some time with the family, and then something better will come along." And Alan Arkin's like, he can't believe it. And he apparently regrets the decision that he fired this guy for no reason other than it was layoffs. He had to fire somebody, but he was the hardest worker in the office. Never complained, always did his job, all that kind of stuff. Whereas everybody else kind of like, do I really have to go do this today? And but yeah, he's just so. He's telling one of the other guys in the office, "Oh, I'm going to stick it to Wade. I'm going to finally break him." And when he doesn't, he's just like even more angry that Wade found a way to turn it into a good situation. And then he sees Wade later, and Wade's like, "Hey, how are you?" He's got a better job. He's still as happy. But, he's working good hours and he's enjoying it, and he still can't believe that after all that, that Wade is still cordial to him, because Wade never really knew his motivation behind why he was fired. It wasn't necessarily because of the layoffs, it was because Gene, Alan Arkin's character, had this, extreme dislike because Wade was always very positive. And, when I was thinking about there was people in the military, they come in, they try to be very positive, and somebody cannot handle that for some reason. They come into work, they do their job, they do it well, they don't complain, they're always, hey, if you need help with anything, they're the first ones there, and all that. And some people just have a hard time with that for whatever reason, and they're like, I have to stick it to this person somehow. I have to break their spirit. And, it's just amazing that people think that way, especially leaders. And I saw there's people who lead by fear, and there's people who lead by example. If people are afraid of you as a leader, you're only going to get the bare minimum out of them. Right? That's it. No more, no less. If they can do less, that's exactly what they'll do. But they won't go over the top for you. So, are you going to look good in the end? Barely. But if you motivate your soldiers and you get them to work with you, and it's a big success for everybody, then all the more better. But some people have a hard time sharing that spotlight, so to speak. And because they want all the glory for themselves, they will not accept help in the slightest, unless they absolutely have to, but they do it so very begrudgingly. And even then, if you want to help them, they'll be like, well, just do this, it's like a menial task, but it may help them accomplish their mission, but they're going to get all the credit, basically. But I was just kind of thinking about that recently, and especially as I've been rewatching Band of Brothers and the different leadership styles. You know, Captain Sobel led by fear. He didn't, you know, he wasn't respected by the soldiers very clearly. He had a chip on his shoulder for some reason. Don't know why, but he did. And he took that out on everybody else. So I guess that's story time for today. The end. Yeah, just every so often things happen, and it's just like it brings up those memories, and it's like, you know, I remember when. It's funny, things always remind me of stuff in the military. Not that I think it's intentional, but I could look at it and say, oh yeah, that's very similar to this situation I was in. But yeah, I don't miss all that stuff. I remember one year, it was Super Bowl time actually, and you know, you could tell who was rooting for who, and you know, unfortunately, senior leadership, their team lost, and so they were like, "Argh!" So they were like, okay, that's it, we're gonna go do this, da da da. It's like, wow, maybe you should have called in and taken the day off and dealt with your anger away from everybody else. You know, it's not very healthy, but they don't do that. You know, they'd rather like, oh, I'm going to take it out on these folks. What are they going to do? They can't do anything about it. They can complain, but who's going to listen to them? Yeah, I don't miss that stuff at all. Not in the least bit. We can kind of look out the side here and got the exhaust coming out the engine there. It's kind of neat. You know, look over at the other one. We're just cruising along here, getting closer and closer to Berlin. We will do a scenic tour of Berlin. I'm going to try, one of the things that I'm going to try to find is roughly, in a way, if I can kind of overlay it or try to figure out based on the way the world is today, where roughly the Berlin Wall was as well. And then also, if we can also kind of, I think there's a Checkpoint Charlie museum, and if I can try to figure out roughly where that is as well, we'll fly over that. That's the checkpoint, the very famous American checkpoint at the Berlin Wall. So we'll try to find that. Again, that's one of those periods of history that I think has been kind of forgotten about. The Cold War, the Berlin Wall, you know, even the Berlin airlift that took place to try to feed as the East and West were shut off from one another. President Kennedy decided to try to drop food and stuff to the what eventually became East Berlin, and then things went from there. We will certainly talk about all that when we fly over Berlin. Ooh, looks like we got a little bit of rain down there because there's a rainbow. A little spring shower, it looks like. Look at that. Interesting. Well, we are right above it, that's for sure, for right now. I like spring showers. They're pretty fantastic, I think. So this is that weird time again in our flight where the plane wants, I'm churning, it wants to start to kind of nose over and start descending. That's one of the things I think it would be great if I had a yoke. I could just make those slight adjustments with the yoke and the aircraft wouldn't be wanting to lose altitude. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of set it. We're going to make a slow descent from here on out, hopefully. And then we'll lose some altitude, and then we'll be kind of ready for our arrival into Berlin. We are 35 nautical miles out from our marker. From our waypoint, I should say, not marker, or waypoint. And then we're going to churn in, and the airport will be kind of very close to that waypoint. So once we get there, we should be able to see the airfield. We're going to find our runway, and we'll line up and put it on it. Do appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out today on this Wednesday morning. Here on the East Coast of the United States, 9 o'clock. Appreciate all the thumbs up today. Surprising we're, let's see, 34 nautical. I guess we're within distance to be able to talk to approach. Huh. So Bravo Bravo India, that waypoint, that VOR, is actually Berlin Brandenburg International. So that's what the BBI stands for. So that VOR is right next to the airport itself. So we're going to go right straight for the airport. And we're not too far off from actually lining up for if we did get a straight-in approach, which maybe we'll just go ahead and make one ourselves. We may not have to fly over. We could just line up for 07 right and just go right on in and land that way. Maybe we'll do that. We've got enough time, I think, to lose the altitude. And then we could always call in and request and say, hey, we're landing here. I don't know if we're close enough yet. Let's have a look on our list here. Let's see if we're close or not. Should be EDDB. Still a little far out. We'll go ahead and minimize that. Because runway 07, so we're on our heading is 088. So it wouldn't be too far off for us to actually go into a, so either 068, 069, 071, 072, somewhere in there is our actual heading for the runway. So we can kind of set ourselves up for that and still be on track for our to arrive at our marker or our waypoint as expected. So we've got 29 nautical miles. Alright. We're descending in altitude, so our airspace changes. For those of you who do not know, that's the reason why we have to say we're going through a different airspace, because we're changing altitudes. Alright, I think I'm going to make one more stretch and kind of move around a little bit, and then I'll be back, and then we should be ready to land in a little bit. Okay? Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Well, at least the plane didn't fall out of the sky while I was gone. So. I think we're just going to fly this way, kind of, because we're going to still intercept the airport. And then as we get a little bit closer, we are... let's see where we're at on the list now, if it's popped up. So we can just go ahead and ask for landing clearance. Looking for EDDB. So as soon as we see it pop up on the list, we're going to go ahead and ask for landing on runway 7 right. So we can go ahead and get things lined up. I like this old wooden yoke. That is really cool, how they modeled that. It's a radio button there. I think you can do radio, yeah. So you can do intercom and then radio, so you can make announcements or whatever as you want to update your passengers on where you're at and what's going on. Oh. Alright, should be showing up soon because we're under 20 nautical miles out. I like to be able to get that clearance now, so we can kind of make our way. Oh, there it is, right there. Perfect. Nice. We got her straight in. Little crusty salute to Berlin Brandenburg. Go ahead and minimize that. Oops. Once we start descending even further, we'll get through this little rainstorm, it looks like. Not a heavy rainstorm, just some spring showers, it looks like. Let's go ahead and put our landing lights on. Always like to be a well-lit aircraft coming in. Alright, there's our marker there. Okay, let's go ahead and turn that off, but now we kind of know where we need to be going. We're going to turn back this way just a bit. Not that we should have seen that. I always forget to turn that off once we get in the air. Let's go ahead and drop some flaps and start slowing down a little bit. Look like, let's just see how if we are heading the right direction or not. I think we are. I just want to see where. Okay, it's right there. Wow. I was expecting the marker to be over here, not here, to be honest, when we were coming in. We'll just go and get it lined up this way. Then we'll turn that off once we turn towards the... I know I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but in the expediency of today's flight. Oh, well, that sucks. Not a way to start off his career at, well, he's been there already, but to get off on a good start for the season. Who's taking his seat for the race there, Mick? Do you know? Did they say? I'm guessing it'll be the test driver. Whoever that is. I'm guessing it's got to be somebody who's kind of familiar with their program already. I feel like I'm going to need to... Might as well just do this. Not that I've been trying to get away from using this, but we've been going for nearly 3 hours, and I don't want to be circling around forever, to be honest. It's been a long morning already. So, but enjoyable. Hopefully everybody else has enjoyed it. Nico Hulkenberg. The other Nico. The less famous Nico. Well, no, Hulkenberg's actually, he's won Le Mans, I think, with Porsche. Yeah, he was one of the F1 drivers that got a seat during the LMP program there for Porsche. The hybrid, the 919. Love that car. So happy that Porsche came in and stuck it to their sister company, Audi. Hello, Pithers. Good afternoon. How are you? Yeah, that was quite enjoyable when the sister company came in and basically poo-pooed all over Audi's parade. Loved it. You're just in time, Pithers. We're getting ready to land here in Berlin. We're going to turn in here in a moment and line up and put it on the ground. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Don't need that anymore. Once we turn in, I'm going to turn that off, and we'll just... Oh, good deal, Pithers. Coming in right at the tail end of our flying today. No problem. Actually, I'm surprised Daniel hasn't been in. Usually Thursdays is his day off, but he might be sleeping right now. Actually, I'm going to keep this on. I want to see if, because normally this is a great way to make sure that we are lined up for our ILS approach. I just want to see if we follow this glide path here and everything, how do we get on using it as a guideline? Can I get a little bit of practice with the using this as a means to kind of judge how we're doing on our approach? Oh, looks like we got a little water streaks there on the windshield or on the windows. I'm sure Daniel will be in later on at mixed stream. Impulses, I should say. Surprising everybody with his Thursday evening shenanigans. You missed story time earlier, Pithers. You have to watch the replay and catch up on story time. Every time I see this virtual pathway here and leading us to the runway, I always think of that point in Star Wars where Luke's going down the Death Star Canyon and his targeting computer is showing all this information. And hello, Real Italian. Welcome. You're coming in just at the tail end of our flying today. Yeah, you sure did, Pithers, but that's all good. You can catch it up another time. I'm back after a month because of my... Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about your Wi-Fi. That sucks. Well, good to see you here. No worries. You can always catch up on all of our flights that you've missed over the past month. We've got some really good ones, I think. We'll be back tomorrow in the jetliners. Mexico City to San Antonio, then Los Angeles to Las Vegas. 2 flights tomorrow. Viewer requested flights. So for those of you who want to see a flight, have to watch back once I get home. No worries, whenever you have time. Yeah, 2 flights tomorrow. For those who might want to see a flight, when we do our kind of longish flight from Salt Lake City to Seattle, we will look for flights for April, the first Friday of April. If we can do a couple of flights that day, a couple short flights, that would be phenomenal. Try to get a few people's wishes, areas that they would like to see us fly, or for me, not us, for me to fly around, in and out of, whatever. All the information required, if you scroll down in the description below the video, it will tell you basically what I need to. Now, if you're not sure how to find that information, when we do the flight next Friday, we can try to figure it out together. Or if you can give me kind of a city or something that I can look up the information and try to figure out where. Wait, what was the? Hold on a second. I just got to see that again. Oops, we're. I hate when it does that. All right, nosing up, losing speed too much, and then we're going to stall if we don't get the nose down a little bit. So yeah, when we're doing that flight next Friday, if you want to see a flight and you just want to give me like a general area, I'll try to find it, because we'll have a couple hours of flying on Friday. Next Friday, I should say. Not that, well, it would be not this Friday, but next Friday is when I'm going to want suggestions for April viewer flights. Try to keep it short, nothing too excessive. Captain's discretion is always in effect. So if you haven't done a request before and you want to see something, let me know and we'll see what we can do to make that dream come true, or that wish come true. If flights to Mix House sounds good. Well, I can try to fly to the airport nearest, I guess. That'd be about it. All of our flaps are down. Here we go. What was that? Crosswind is giving me a bit of fits here. That kind of helped a little bit, kind of keeping us on line and not being excessive on the glide path coming into the runway here. Either too high or too low. I think we were round about where we needed to be. Over the threshold. Cut the power. A little bit of flare, a little bit of flare. Ooh, little bump, little bump. There we go. Oops. Ta-da! Well, that worked out rather well. I can't really see them. I could see them, but we were right about where we needed to be. I think we might have been a little shallow, but that wasn't too bad. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I know. I know what they're there for. Appreciate it, though. On behalf of myself and the entire flight crew, we'd like to welcome you to Berlin. The local time is 14:25 in the afternoon. All right, Pithers, take care. Yeah, I'd love to have a plane in my back garden. Yeah, I know you'd prefer a B-17, Mick, if you were going to have one. That would be your new man cave, wouldn't it? Nobody else is allowed. That's Mick's new man cave, the B-17. As I was saying, so yes, welcome to Berlin. Local time is 14:25 in the afternoon. We do appreciate and understand the fact that you have many options when it comes to your Microsoft Flight Simulator live stream or viewing post-flight video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. We know you have many options. So we appreciate that you chose to fly with us today. Do join us tomorrow. We will be in the A320 for 2 flights, Mexico City to San Antonio and Los Angeles to Las Vegas. Viewer requested flights. First flight will be for my lovely lady Doris. So we will do that tomorrow to kick things off. Then we will pop over to Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm getting there, knucklehead. Thank you. So pushy. Parking, please. Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Oh, we gotta... Oh, over that way. All right. So yeah, good stuff coming up tomorrow. Good stuff, I think, coming through the weekend. Flying tour of Amsterdam Sunday after we do our run on the Brighton Main Line. Probably be a quick run on the Brighton Main Line on Sunday, since we didn't do it last Sunday because of the time change. I'm just going to cut right through here. And again, a quick reminder, no flight this Wednesday. No flight. And no flight on the 1st and 2nd of April. We back at it on the 3rd, Scenic Sunday. We'll also do a train service. Of course, that will be contingent upon that I still don't have any issues after my procedure on Friday. So, if you don't see me within an hour or so, then assume that the flight, everything's been canceled for that day. But I don't expect that there'll be any issues. Knock on wood. Guess we're going to have a tour of Berlin Airport too. Well, I do appreciate it once again, everybody coming in and hanging out today. Thank you for the 9 thumbs up. Greatly appreciate that. Appreciate everybody's support. Wow. Boy, it is taking us all the way over here. Interesting. Well, if I'd known that general aviation parking was here, I would have landed on this other runway, and we would have been a little bit closer. But it would have been my luck I landed here, and they would have told us to go the other way for general aviation parking. You never can tell sometimes. Somebody is messaging. Something's happening on here on Discord. I'm trying to find my... There it is. Discord window. I've got so many windows open, it's easy to lose track of everything. Yeah, we could have probably come in on 07 left and been a little bit closer, but like I said, it probably would have been my luck that we would have found, or they would have told us to go the opposite way. So, yeah. Clear all that stuff. Oop. Stream caught up just a bit. You never know which way they're going to tell you to go. See, that's the other thing too, is if you have the full-blown chart of the airport, the Jepson chart basically, or any kind of a layout, that you can basically know which runway you want to land at and which way to taxi for your parking or whatever. Because the bad part is you can pick a runway, but you can't pick, like, for whatever reason, it won't allow you to pick an actual parking spot. I don't think. For takeoff, yes, but not for landing. All right. Just cruising here. Should get to our parking spot here eventually. And we'll do the checklist, the shutdown, and all that. Then that should hopefully bring everything to an end correctly. Oh, looks like there it is right there. All right, we're coming to the end here. Thank you all once again for coming in and hanging out today. Oh, there's not anybody here to greet us. That's sad. Wow, I feel neglected here at Berlin. In a German aircraft, no less. Oh, speed kind of died out there. All right, so let's open up our checklist. Let's go back inside here. So let's go to our after landing. Oh. Parking. Oops, still did not. I think, I don't know if the batteries are turned off. I think they are. Yep, both batteries are off. Just seen a formation of B-52s fly overhead. Oh, wow. Okay, still not. Well, let's make sure that. Interesting. It still doesn't end it correctly. Well, that's going to be it for today, folks. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you all again for coming in and hanging out for these 3 hours. Nice to see everybody here. Do enjoy the rest of your Thursday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. I will see you all tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, 10:30 UK. Times haven't changed just yet. Almost at the end of the month, they will go back to the hour ahead of us on the East Coast. So A320 flights tomorrow, viewer requested flights, so do join us for that. Until then, peace, live long and prosper.